Hello everyone, and welcome to my review for Record of Ragnarok Chapter 53. This got here pretty quickly, so, long time no see, I guess. So just a short little, announcement thing. I looked back on some of my old videos today, and I realized I really liked back when I didn't do an intro. Things seemed way more laid back and casual. So I think I'm not going to do an intro anymore, and instead for the Patreon shoutout, I'll put it at the end of the video like I did for a while, or alternatively, if I can think of a funny, annoying pun way to include it, not necessarily a pun, but I find some sort of cheeky way to include it in the video, I'll do it then. If I can't think of one, it'll just be at the end of the video. So, Chapter 53 of Record of Ragnarok. This is the end of Round 6. I have several things to say about this chapter and about this fight. First thing was something I forgot to bring up last chapter, and I was very pissed off about it. I brought it up in my leaks discussion video. The name of Buddha's new sword, the Great Nirvana Sword Zero, has a very clever name. And the reason it's clever is because, as far as I understand, in Buddhism, you attain nirvana after passing through the 6 realms. And Buddha obtained the Nirvana sword after his 6 realm staff was destroyed. So he had to move on past the 6 realms. You see, it's a clever little thing. I like it. I think it's clever. I'm a big fan of it. And yeah, as far as I can tell, the 7-branch sword is something from Korean history. It doesn't really have any sort of specific mythological or religious significance, as far as I can tell. Once again, if any of you know something about it, in regards to that, please let me know in the comments. But we have a few fascinating developments in this chapter, other than the fight concluding. The first one is that Buddha's future sight returns. The 8th consciousness comes back because Hajin's soul is no longer concealed within his own darkness. It wasn't so much... I know my original idea was that, Hajin just straight up doesn't have a soul, but I think they explained in Chapter 50 that, Hajin has a soul, but he's such a dark, evil being that it's... You can't see it. His soul is such a deep-down thing that you can't see it. But now, Buddha can. And that is because Hajin's soul is trembling so violently out of fear of Buddha that he can't conceal it anymore. Now this is such a good development. I don't know the name of this trope, but it's so fucking good. Literally any time that it's used, it's like the best thing ever. Hajin is freaked out by the fact that Buddha is not losing confidence or the will to fight despite the odds being so stacked against him. Buddha just doesn't give a shit. He just keeps going on. He's so confident that he'll win, regardless of how powerful Hajin is, that it scares the shit out of Hajin. It's always great when the big evil bad guy cannot understand the power of the human spirit. So that's just really fucking cool. Now, most of this fight is really just Buddha trying to last as long as he can against Hajin, getting in a few attacks on him. And then we have the deciding moment, where Buddha's future sight gives him an opening. It looks like Hajin uses Blaze of Glory again, and he cuts Buddha in half right down the middle. Everyone thinks that this has happened. Even Hajin. Hajin's very excited. He's done his biggest Lu Tien face yet. The biggest jobber face you've ever seen in your fucking life right here. Divine Retribution for the win. But no, it's an after image. He cut an after image of Buddha. Buddha dodged behind him. This is actually kind of like, it's not his blind spot. Well, I guess if he would be looking forward, he would be in sort of his blind spot. But I think this is kind of the exact same position that Jack tried to stab Heracles with a fence post in. And that didn't work out. And Heracles managed to, catch Jack with sort of a backhand thing. And I guess Hajin was going to go for a backhanded strike on Buddha. But Buddha being the Chad that he is, gets a quotation from the Sutta Nipata, which I guess is like the Buddhist text or something. I actually have no idea. And the quote says, in the exalted words of the... I'm already fucking up. In the words of the exalted sage, unstartled like a lion it sounds, unsnared like the wind in a net, unsoiled like a lotus in water, like the horn of the rhinoceros, walk alone. However, should you find a companion whose soul you can rest upon yours, walk with him. So, in Buddha's mind, Zero is that person. I mean, this quote here is explaining the principle behind Vold. You find a companion whose soul you can rest upon yours. It's someone you can trust with your entire being. And you fight with them. And that's what Buddha's doing here with Zero. So, Buddha says, this is our path. Let's go together. And we have the final attack of the round. Great Reincarnation Sword Zero. Oh god, this one's kind of a... Is this the translation of it? Okay, so we have like two names for it. Mahapari Nirvana, Blade of the Celestial Eyes Awakening. Now, Blade of the Celestial Eyes Awakening sounds really, really fucking cool. I don't know exactly what it means. I guess it would be like, because Nirvana is supposed to be enlightenment or whatever. I know it's like, isn't Nirvana the enlightenment where you escape from the cycle of reincarnation and become like one with the universe? Anyway, big vertical slash as Hajin's turning around to try and attack Buddha. Everyone's shocked. Zeus is pog-champing. The only person here who doesn't look kind of surprised is Hades. Hades has been cool and collected beyond everyone else for the most part. Even Odin seems kind of surprised, kind of pissed, I guess. Who knows? Once again, we don't know what his motivations are. But Hades is like, okay. Now, Buddha cut through Hajin's right arm, just beneath the shoulder, and then through his chest diagonally, cutting him in half. Buddha wins. Now, as the entire human side of the audience is cheering for Buddha, Hajin is there on the ground, cut in half, and he's hearing everyone cheer for the guy that just beat him. And as you can imagine, being such a prideful sack of shit, Hajin's very pissed off by this. And he tries to go for one last cheap move. He tries to shoot a spear out of his arm at Buddha, like the little gross sword arm thing that he did not long after he entered the fight. And it kind of looks... I think the translation said that Buddha dodged, but I think it's more so Hajin's body started breaking apart before he could attack him. This is what some people thought was happening with Heracles, and what thankfully he didn't. And it was kind of like what it seemed like he was going to do, where he's like, oh, I'm going to fucking die, so I'm going to make it a double KO. I'm about to die, I'm going to kill this fucking guy. That's what Hajin's trying to do here. But his arm breaks away before he can do it. It's like when fucking Lust tried to kill Mustang, and she was dead already, so she couldn't do it. And Hajin's last words are him rambling on as usual about being the demon lord of the sixth heaven as he crumbles away to dust. So, yeah, fuck that guy. Hajin is cool, but he's not an interesting character. As opposed to Zero, who's kind of lame, but is a very interesting character. Speaking of Zero, we see him running off into the sky. He smiles and gives Buddha a double thumbs up as he goes to meet the 7 lucky gods, and they disappear, I guess, into Niflhel. So you have to wonder, how is Zero dead if Buddha still has the Nirvana sword? And I think the explanation for this is that the source of Zerofuku's soul is still his body within Hajin. So when Hajin is killed, that's killing Zerofuku's main body. What Buddha has now is like a little fragment of Zero. I don't know if that's going to last. I assume we'll find out, like, at the start of next chapter whether or not the Nirvana blade is going to remain around or if it's going to dissipate too. But I figure this sword will be like the last remnants of Zero that Buddha takes with him into the future. They will walk the path together, combined with each other. And that's pretty cool. So, Buddha cries a little bit, does the pose that he did when he attained enlightenment, and says, "I'll see you later, Zero." So Buddha is officially declared the winner of round 6. The match lasted for 21 minutes, 37 seconds. The deciding move was Mahapara Nirvana, and the winner is Buddha. So, that was an interesting fight. I would say that overall, I like this fight more than round 1 and round 5. I don't know if I would put it above any of the other ones. I'm very conflicted about how highly I want to rate this fight. Do I want to put this, like, on the same tier as Shiva versus Raiden, just higher on the tier? Or do I want to elevate it up to the tier with rounds 2, 3, and 4? I'm not sure. But I got a very good comment from BNA on the last review that's kind of pushing me in the direction of putting it up there. It's a very good analysis on what this fight is about. How initially it seemed like it was about attaining happiness, but with these more recent chapters, it's clear that it's more about recognizing your own weaknesses and growing from them, power of compassion, cruelty of others, and how to become mature. So, props to him for that comment. And it's a really good point. That's what the fight is about. The fight is about recognizing your weaknesses and trying to grow, become a stronger and better person from them. And I think that's a really good message for the fight. I think the biggest flaw, one of the biggest flaws of the last fight, was that there wasn't really like a super strong message. It was basically, man, having friends and people that are counting on you makes you stronger. Which is true, but it's probably one of the least compelling messages of any of the fights. This one has an excellent message. This is such a good message. And I'm gonna have to decide whether or not I put this high A tier, low S. I'm really not sure. But yeah, what did you guys think of the fight? Now, of course, we have to wonder what the hell is going to be happening from here. This fight totally destroyed the idea of predicting future matchups, because now the amount of remaining fighters on each team is uneven. Are the gods going to have a new god added to the roster? Is one of the humans not going to fight? Is one of the humans going to betray humanity and fight for the gods? That still seems like kind of a dumb twist, though I suppose I would have considered this to be a little bit of a dumb twist before it happened, so I don't know, maybe they could pull it off. Who knows? But I do have 2 matchups that I could imagine being next. Both of them involve characters that we've already seen before. The first one is Beelzebub versus Nikola Tesla. The reason for that is because Beelzebub showed up during this fight, and Buddha showed up during the last fight and then had his next. So if there's any kind of pattern we're supposed to glean from that, it's that Beelzebub was maybe introduced now because he's coming up next. He was also the one responsible for turning Zirafuku into Hajin, so I guess having him go next would sort of be a continuation of this sort of plotline we have going on. And having him fight Nikola Tesla would be a very good matchup, because as far as we can tell, Beelzebub is Mairi, pretty much. He's an evil mad scientist, and with Nikola Tesla fighting him, you could have a dynamic about the different sides of the coin when it comes to science and innovation. Think of the quote from Jurassic Park: "You guys were so worried about whether or not you could do it, you never stopped to consider if you should." Tesla could represent all of the good that comes from innovation and innovating for the sake of making the world a better place, while Beelzebub is someone who experiments with science just to see what is possible without any type of concern for morals or how it affects other people. That could be good. And the other matchup I could see is Okita versus Loki. I do think those two are one of the more likely matchups. It's going to have been 6 rounds since we had Thor go up, one of the Norse fighters, and if we're going to have Odin as the final boss of the tournament, it would make sense to have another Norse god be the mid-boss of the tournament. And I'm actually fairly confident in the humans winning either of those matchups. I do think this is a decent point in the tournament for humans to get the lead for the first time. It would probably also mean that the matchups after are going to be absolutely fucking brutal. The humans are going to get massacred in those. But yeah, what do you guys think the upcoming matchups are going to be? That's going to be pretty exciting. I've heard that we're going to get a double chapter again next month, which is not surprising at all. Seems to be the new pattern that we get a double chapter at the start, middle, and end of the fight. So I guess this is just tradition now. So yeah, with that, that's all I have to say about this month's chapters. Please share your thoughts and opinions on the chapters and the fight in the comments. I'm very excited to read what you have to say. So with that, that's all I have to say for this review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Record of Ragnarok chapter reviews every month. If you enjoy discussing Record of Ragnarok with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have links to that down in the description. If you enjoy other series such as Jujutsu Kaisen, Kengan Omega, Chainsaw Man, and Bleach, I do videos in those series as well, so if you're interested in those, you should definitely check out my channel. Since it's the end of the video, it's time to give a shout out to my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Fuse, Neo, Dijon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, Zach Rowitz, K-God, Chris Redfield, Scratch23, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, and Sam the Ace. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. And if you too want to get a shout out, or if you want to get access to reviews for Solo Leveling and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.